Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. We are headed to State Line, Ghost Town, and that is a ghost town that is on the state line of Nevada and Utah. And we have found an abandoned little ghost town building right here. And we're going to explore that real quick, and then we're going to head on up to an area where there's a mine and also some old buildings and post office for State Line Ghost Town. Come along with us.
State Line began with gold and silver discoveries in State Line Canyon in 1894. With the Ophir mine opening in 1896, the population reached 300 people before the mine started to play out and people started to leave for greener pastures. Now, this ghost town lived in the middle of a canyon that was used by cattle rustlers and other outlaws. They found it a convenient route to move their stolen Mormon cattle from Utah to Nevada, where officials turned a blind eye to stray Mormon cattle brought in to feed hungry miners of the Nevada mines. Now that we know a little history about our location, let's get right into our adventure.
This one looks pretty old. We've seen a couple of snakes already, so we're going to be extremely cautious. They've been sunning themselves in the road on the way up. Somebody's old home. Even a little attic space right up there. You see all the old wood ceiling, wood floor down there. There's some garbage. People have been camping in here a little bit too, on and off. Right now it looks like nobody's been in here for quite some time. Really cool old building. This one all collapsed and fell in. This is like the back portion of the building. See how old that is. Wow. What's left of the old door on its hinges. And of course the floor still seems pretty sound. Woo, it's soft though. Oh man, it's so creepy in these old buildings when you're in here and the wind blows. And you hear that tin rattling and those buildings stretching from the wind. A little creepy. Right along the road here on the way up, we are finding an amazing sandstone formation here. I'll take a walk on up some of this sand. Stone, a little path. It's really interesting because it's all sand and you can see the rocks embedded. It's almost like cement. There's like large rocks that are just formed right in there. Look at that. Now you'll know when you pull in to State Line Ghost Town, it's got this iconic chimney that's still standing right here on the right. So as you pull into town, up that direction, of course, is Main Street. The mill was up here and the mine was way up there. And this is the chimney that you'll see first when you pull into State Line Ghost Town. You can see there was a building here. A lot of the tin is left, but this one is burnt down. The only part of this building that was stone was the fireplace. And this is it. The iconic fireplace of State Line Ghost Town. Nice brickwork for an old fireplace. Now this building here is awesome. You can see all four walls are standing. You can see the way they built that, so it had a roof line to it. And watching my step, boy, there are a tremendous amount of nails on the ground. We don't need to get a dose of tetanus on that deal. But look at all this in here. It looks like some of the tin roof had fallen into the building. Amazing. See the windows, both sides, and how the walls were built up with a roof line right there. Take a look at that. good to see, but it looks like they did some patchwork on this building, maybe to preserve it and keep it standing. Old bed springs out and back. So funny when you find the ghost town, you find the old buildings, all the old bed springs find their way out to laying out next to the building on the ground. Now this looks like the general store here. Looks like it's still standing, all four walls. And the old door frame there. You can look right here, the fire really did a number. And all of these trees and bushes around here are burnt. But wow, look at this. Still held up, some of the old rafters and supports. And what looks like brick up there is actually tin. It's on the front of the building. Let's take a walk inside. Looks like it was a storage area in the back, or a building in the back that collapsed. Looking around in the rafters here, the framework, you can see right up there's some kind of a nest. That's built out of a lot of big sticks. That's a fairly good sized bird. Maybe crows. There's quite a few crows around here, ravens.
When you're standing in this town, it's hard to believe that by 1903, State Line had grown to a solid mining town of 300 people. With 2 or 3 general stores, a fine hotel, 2 saloons, a blacksmith shop, shoemaker, a restaurant, and a daily stage that used to go to Medina on the National Railroad 16 miles away, and its own newspaper, the State Line Oracle. Several mills for processing the ore for the Ophir mine. This town was booming in its day.
Getting closer now to this one right here, which is a small square building. Really thick walls on that one. And then right over here is another foundation. So again, all these kind of a main street that came off over there. You can see the road and these buildings to the left. So this would be the right side of the road coming up. And then I believe right over there on the hillside, I see some mining equipment, some old tin buildings. We're going to see if we can get close to that as well. This one looked like it had one doorway in here and one door going out the other side. And I don't see any windows in this one, so it makes it kind of interesting to think about what building this would be. This one here was kind of pit set. They dug this into the ground, and there was a structure on top of it, but that's fairly deep. That's about 6-8 feet deep in there. And again, all the walls were built almost 2 feet thick with these stones. Take a look at this one. You can still see the timbers inside the building that were burnt. I mean, this building was on fire. The trees and things are in front of it, and all of the stones and things that are in the back are all scorched. And you can see here the flooring burnt as well, so even the flooring caught on fire. You see those pieces of wood there, all black. And then where a piece of wood was that just laid there and burnt, this is very interesting. Look at that. It's still holding that burnt piece of wood there is still holding up some of the stone. So walking on up the road, we found this piece of machinery here, what's left of it. And you can see that it was probably located inside this building. Old piece of mining equipment. And it was attached to this piece of wood, bolted on right here. You can see that. That is burnt. This whole place was just devastated. Some piping coming out of there. And all the tin roof that was there. Now it looks like the piping something might have went under this road right through there and straight up that mountain. I see a pipe. All right, we are going to head up this side of this mountain where this pipe runs and see if we can get closer to all that iron and those workings up top. Take a closer look. Okay, so on up, you can see the pipe. I ran up the hill. We're basically just following it up the hill to all that up there. Now I am fairly winded again. It is warm and it's steep and loose with sand and rocks. See you at the top. We are suspiciously close to these workings at the top of the hill. We are here and it is windy. We made it to the top. Take a look in between these two giant vats of metal or whatever they are, containment ponds of sorts. And all that was the inner workings of a building that burnt down. You see all the tin and the wood, but all the old motors and pulley are all up there still. We're gonna get a closer look and go on up top. You can see all the metals blowing around. Fairly exciting to see this. You can get to the top of that hill. A side view of that. I'm gonna head up this next hill and get up top and get on that foundation and look at all that was the motors and the pumps and all that, the pulley system to this location. This is what's left of the mining part of the ghost town. Not gonna go in too far, just take a quick look. You can see all that. And up top, that's all rusted out up there. But this all burnt down. As you can see, there's two of the motors that were left there with the pulley system that operated all this. And you can see where it caught on fire. There's a lot of wood on top of the metal. And also it fell inside of those large vats there. And that's what I'm going to call them until somebody tells me different. It just seems to be what they are. Just going to walk through here a little bit. This is crazy. I saw a picture a while back where this was still standing and it wasn't burnt out. And you can see now that only the old metal stairs and some of these metal pieces are still standing. And that whole hillside was lost as well. And that's where there was a lot of buildings right in there. And then of course the main part of town was down there in that gorge. You can see way off in the distance the building that we entered that looked like the general store. Amazing location. We did not know we were going to find this up here. This is the upper level where that large storage area was right there. That's all rusted out. Hopefully you can hear me. The wind's pretty strong up here, and all the tin that was on the roof of this building, all the wood supports burnt out, and then they just kind of curled up from the heat and fell on the ground. Now we ran into somebody when we were hiking up here. Went about another quarter mile up the hill, extremely steep, and we found the mine that supported this town and fed all that equipment, all of the ore that it needed to make money. Look at the size of that mine. This is all the cement structure that they built around the top, like a framing that they connected all this rebar to. And honestly, I think that's like 1.25 inch rebar that holds this up. You could walk across that like nothing with like railroad ties, iron that hold it up. They do not want you going in there. You can see inside here all the shoring timber and all the rock that has fallen. Well, what I'm standing on right now is where the mine goes into the mountain. This is where it came out. And underneath me, you can see all of the shoring timbers, and it's caved in now. But this was the mine where all the ore came from. And that is heavy rebar holding this up. Hopefully you can see. I'm gonna try to get through there. That's all the material that's holding up the entrance to the mine right there. All the wood and timber structure that was there. And that's all falling in now. Now you can still go in that, but it's way up top where that hole's at. So the front of it's caved in just a little bit. You can see there. Not safe for sure, and that's why they've rebarred this whole thing off. Now this is a view from the mine. You'll see there's the corner of the mine here. But out there's the town. That's where the road goes, the main road. And you can still see from up here, you can see those buildings way off in the distance.
We hope you enjoyed our visit to State Line Ghost Town. And until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. And if you lost a hubcap, it might be right here on this fence.